All right. So today, my tech tool I'll be sharing is smart boards and computers, also as well as a classroom screen and a vocabulary organizer. So my lesson plan, I included a link here that you can click on. Um, and this is obviously just my lesson plan I submitted. So you have a copy of that. But just an overall explanation, like this lesson plan is a second grade reading and language arts lesson plan that teaches students how to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words and phrases by using context clues, illustration, and surrounding text. The lesson begins with a word detective activity um, to activate prior knowledge. Um, and we'll be using the smartboard for that. And basically, I will just teach the students how to infer meanings of words through context clues and illustrations. And we can do that by underlining words and circling clues in the reading passage to help us infer those meanings. Um, and then that will be teacher modeling. And I will gauge the students' understanding of the topic using a thumbs up, thumbs down tech tool, which is in here specifically, it's like a smiley face. That it's a smiley face, either like a sad, a not understanding at all, or a happy face that will show whether or not students are understanding the information. And I plan to use classroom screen for this. Then we'll go into a guided practice and then independent practice. The students will identify unfamiliar vocabulary in the digital passage and record their findings in a vocabulary organizer on the computer. The student learning will be assessed through discussion, observation, and completed digital vocabulary organizer. The technology that will be used in my lesson plan is classroom screen, like I described before. A classroom screen turns any display, projector, or interactive whiteboard or TV into a centralized teaching hub. Uh, Teachers can project the board for the whole class and use a variety of widgets to manage time, monitor behavior, engage students, and deliver instructions without switching between multiple tools. And the other tool is just a desktop computer. I think most of us know what that is. And then a smartboard, which is an interactive whiteboard that connects to a computer and projector, and it allows teachers and students to interact directly with digital content using their fingers or a special pen. So here I just have some links to show how to use a smartboard, how to use a computer, how to use classroom screen. So you can just click there, and I'm going to provide all of these links below. Um, so like I said, this is just an example of how to use a smartboard, and it just kind of goes through all the different ways you can use it. And then a little intro for children, how to use a desktop computer. That one's fun. So there's that one. And then also intro how to use classroom screen. Um, so there's all those. And like I said, I'll provide those links below. And then, for example, this will be an example screen. Well, you see back here, the classroom screen, you can project this on for the whole class. And you can ask them questions or gauge to see how they're feeling about an assignment, which is what I did here. So this is just an example question, kind of like an exit ticket, just on the computer. And so after we learned about interpreting words and using context clues, I'll ask how they felt about what we just learned, and they can either click great, not sure, not good, and then they'll submit their answers, and I will get those answers from my computer. So I can collect data that way. And then the vocabulary organizer that I'm going to use for the independent practice, like I said, that's going to be after I kind of model how to do things, and then we go through a guided instruction where I'll have the kids come up during class. I have this all written in my lesson plan, but I'll have the kids come up during class and, one by one, kind of help me like underline certain words and context clues and different illustrations that help us find the meaning of those words. So then the individual practice, it'll be a word detective finder, and it's going to be a vocabulary organizer. It's going to say, let's be detectives. Look for 5 words in your reading that you don't know. Use clues from the story and the pictures to figure out what each word means. And then they'll just pull this up on their computer in Microsoft Word. And like I said, this will all just be laid out for them already. And then in each of these different boxes, they'll type the first word that they're looking for the meaning for, and then they'll put either the clue or the illustration description that help them interpret that word and their meaning, and then they'll put the meaning of the word right there. And I went into this a little bit, but just some more detailed description, how the smartboard and computers will be used. The smartboard will be used drawing and highlighting tools. We'll be using the drawing and highlighting tools to circle unfamiliar vocabulary, underline context clues, annotate the text. I will also model think aloud strategies by explaining how surrounding words and pictures help determine the meaning of an unknown word. The students will participate by coming to the smartboard to highlight additional context clues and other things they find important to infer the meaning of the word. And the computer and the vocabulary organizer will be used. The computers will be used to access the digital passage independently. The students will identify unfamiliar words and complete a digital vocabulary organizer by recording the unfamiliar word or phrase. And then the classroom screen, like I said, will be used to survey the students, and that'll take place on their computers. And they will choose either happy face, a not sure face, or a sad face. And then those answers will come to my computer, and I can use that data to assess further instruction. So the SMR framework with my tech tools, we have substitution and augmentation. The smartboard replaces a traditional whiteboard and printed text by displaying the digital reading passage. So this is substitution. The teacher uses the smartboard to read aloud, highlight vocabulary, underline context clues, annotate text. The students also access the reading passage digitally. And at this level, technology serves as a direct substitute for traditional instructional tools with no significant change to the learning task. The next SMR framework is augmentation. And the technology provides functional improvements to the lesson. And the students will complete a digital vocabulary organizer, like I said before. This will help, using these tools will help give me immediate feedback and making assessment more efficient than traditional paper and pencil methods. So that's why that one's augmentation. The data component, the teacher or I will collect formative assessment data by observing student participation during class, just kind of gauging students' faces, how many questions are asked, and then also by reviewing students' responses with the digital smiley face assessment. and then also monitoring the completed digital vocabulary organizers, see how well they did with that. This information will help me identify students who have mastered the skill, those who need additional support, and any misconceptions about using context clues. And then this data will also be used to differentiate instruction and provide targeted interventions and also adjust future lesson plans. So the purpose for learning outcomes. The technology will support the lesson's learning outcome by helping students achieve the objective of determining the meanings of unfamiliar words and phrases using context clues and illustrations. The smartboard enhances teacher modeling and also guided practice by making the thinking visible through the highlighting and the context clues and annotation. And also the desktop computers will allow the students to complete the vocabulary organizer and also provide me with the student understanding in a quicker manner. And overall, the technology increases the student engagement. It supports active participation, and it provides immediate formative assessment. Also helps students meet the learning target of accurately determining vocabulary meanings. So the digital citizenship for the tech tools I am using. Smartboard is, just a instructional tool used in the class and doesn't really require any students to create accounts or share any information. So I think the Smartboard, there isn't too much that we need to know there. But the students using the desktops and accessing the passage, and then also if they create a classroom screen account or using their login information for the computers, I have to make sure that the platform complies with the school and district technology policies and other applicable student privacy laws. And then also, which I didn't know, students under the age of 13 should only use online educational tools that are approved by the school or have appropriate parental permission required. Also, the teachers should review expectations for responsible technology use and just responsible handling of the computer in general, how to keep things clean, not damage the property and all those things. So the lesson effectively helps students use context clues and illustrations to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words and phrases. The smartboard and classroom screens supported teacher modeling class discussion, while the desktop computers allowed students to independently apply the skill using a digital vocabulary organizer. And overall, the technology increased student engagement, provided immediate feedback from the formative assessment data, and supported students in meeting the lesson objective while building vocabulary, reading comprehension, and digital literacy skills. And then here are also my links that I showed before. I think the links in my previous slides would have been really helpful if I was actually presenting this in person, but since I don't know if you'll be able to click on those links from the video, I have these that you can just copy and paste if you'd like to. That's my presentation. Thank you.